can't find the resources to have no access to professional help, we don't want you to think you can't get well. Many people, including Carolyn, have recovered without the use of a treatment program or therapist. That being said, even though it can be done, we recommend getting whatever help is available because it is much harder to do this alone. External obstacles will present difficulties you might need to work around, but the beliefs or fears that these obstacles mean you can't recover are just that, beliefs and fears. In truth, there are very few, if any, actual reasons for you can't recover. The only real obstacles in the way of you getting well are your own thoughts and feelings. This is actually good news because in Key 4, you will be learning to identify and respond to your thoughts and feelings in new and healthier ways. Assignment: why I can't get better. So now that you have learned and hopefully absorbed the information in the above assignment, we will ask you again, can you think of any real reasons why you cannot get better? If you can, write it here. The space is tiny because there are no reasons why you can't get better. We have not found one in our collective 5 decades of seeing clients. Motivation, readiness, and change. Behavior change is not an event. It is a process of events that happens in stages and occurs over time. Research has shown us that the stages people go through in order to change a habitual behavior are very predictable. Your readiness and motivation are related to these stages. Think of someone you know who has or had a habit like smoking that he or she wanted to break. Chances are, for a long time, this person didn't even consider changing, quitting, or thinking this behavior was a problem. Even once a problem is acknowledged, it is hard to change. Eventually, he or she might contemplate making a change for a long time without actually doing anything, or might get motivated and try to change, but then get discouraged for some reason and quit. Trying is helpful to know where you are in a relationship to the stages of change. You may have heard some version of these stages due to the fact that the clinicians have used different variations of the stages of change for several years. In our 8 Keys book, we discuss 5 stages of change adapted from different resources. Here we describe it a bit differently with the 6 stages of change taken directly from the trans-theoretical model, which is an integrative biopsychosocial model based on principles developed from more than 35 years of scientific research, intervention, development, and empirical studies. Understanding these stages is important because knowing what stages you are in can assist you and others wanting to help you to approach change in a way that is easy to understand and more likely to lead to success rather than frustration. Understanding these stages is important because knowing what stage you are in can assist you and others wanting to help you to approach change in a way that is easy to understand and more likely to lead to success rather than frustration. According to the research informing this model of change, fewer than 20% of people with high-risk behaviors are ready to take action at any given time. This means that treatment protocols or suggestions geared to individuals ready to take action. According to the research informing this model of change, fewer than 20% of people with high-risk behaviors are ready to take action at any given time. This means that treatment protocols or suggestions geared to individuals ready to take action will be ineffective for those not at that stage. You may have already experienced eager friends or professionals who were trying to be helpful, and even though you knew what they were saying made sense, you couldn't take in any of the advice or do anything suggested. If this dynamic persists, your motivation will surely suffer, and feelings of hopelessness can take over. For these reasons, understanding where you are in terms of motivation and readiness for change is instrumental for meeting you where you are and determining which questions, assignments, and interventions will be most helpful for increasing your motivation, reducing resistance, and getting you ready to move forward. You might progress through these stages in a linear fashion, or you might find yourself in one stage and then regress back to an earlier one. But it is good to know that this is common and expected. Stages of change. 1. Pre-contemplation. In this stage, you are not ready to take action. It might be that you are not sure you have a problem that needs changing. You might not know the potential consequences of your behaviors, or you might not care. In this stage, you are likely to avoid talking or thinking about changing your behaviors. People may describe you as being in denial, unmotivated, or apathetic, and you may agree, or you might feel you just aren't ready yet. The fact is, even if you are in pre-contemplation, there are very helpful ways to intervene and generate new insights or a different perspective, which can gently move you toward the contemplation stage. Some examples of pre-contemplation interventions would be asking if you would be willing to read this workbook without doing any of the assignments, inquiring whether or not you're open to talking about all the reasons you aren't ready or don't want to change, and frequently reinforcing the fact that nobody can make you change if you don't want to, so every decision is completely up to you. Contemplation. In this stage, you are getting ready to take some action, but you are weighing the pros and cons, continually going through a cost-benefit analysis of whether or not to make a change can keep you stuck at this stage in the form of chronic procrastination. You are thinking about it, but not yet motivated enough to take any real immediate action. You can, however, take some small steps to help you find the motivation needed at this point for you to just try something. Reading books from and talking to people who have recovered are just a couple of examples and can be very helpful. There are several small step assignments in this workbook. Preparation. If you are in this stage, you are ready for action and may have already taken some action in the past. In this stage, you might still be exploring options, but you are also preparing for change by doing things like contacting a therapist or looking into a treatment center, or hint, doing the assignments in this workbook. Moving to the next level requires choosing something and taking action. Remember, if you choose something that isn't helping, don't let that destroy your motivation. People often need to try a few different things before finding what motivates them to continue moving forward. Remember, if you choose something and it isn't helping, don't let that destroy your motivation. People often need to try a few different things before finding what motivates them to continue moving forward toward recovery. It's relevant. It's relevant in that I try a bunch of things. A lot of like the basic tools don't really fit my interests, or I'm just like, why am I listening? Why am I being mindful? Like, I'm just listening to the trees and it's not helping me. Sometimes. It's not all the time. Action. In this stage, number 4, action. In this stage, you are currently taking action, making changes, getting feedback, and making adjustments. You are actively in the process of making changes in your eating disorder behaviors and working toward recovery. You may get disheartened and your motivation will wax and wane because changing these behaviors is hard. Recovery feels worse before it feels better, which can be tiring and make you feel like you are going up and down escalator for a long time. This is a very normal and gets easier with time. I feel like I'm there. Maintenance. You are in the stage if you have already made change. You are in this stage if you've already made changes and are now responding to old triggers and new stressors in different ways. Rather than working on changing behaviors, your actions and goals are now aimed at maintaining your new behaviors to prevent you from slipping back or relapsing. Evidence suggests this stage can last from 6 to 5 years. It is important to remember, 6 months to 5 years. It is important to remember your recovery work will continue long after the acute behaviors are gone. For example, many people will leave treatment for various reasons after their behaviors are under control. But cessation in behavior is just the tip of the iceberg. The 1990 Surgeon General's report revealed that after 12 months of continuous abstinence, 43% of individuals returned to the regular smoking. It was only after 5 years of continuous abstinence that the risk for relapse dropped to 7%. You may fully recover long before these statistics suggest, but it is wise to consider that permanent change usually requires some vigilance for longer than you might think. We don't share this to depress or scare you, but to point out that you will need to protect your recovery for a while. During the maintenance stage, you might find yourself lacking the motivation needed to continue certain behaviors that have been helpful, such as a journal, following a meal plan, or going to therapy. If this occurs, you may need some help or some trial and error to help figure out what's okay and stop. What's okay to stop and what would be wise to continue for a while longer. Termination. This is the stage we call being recovered. At this point, you are no longer tempted to use eating disorder behaviors. According to the model of change, you have reached 100% self-efficacy. You now have the ability to be effective on your own. Your healthy self has become strong enough to keep you on track in managing your life without your eating disorder, regardless of what stressors or difficulties come your way. Your eating disorder is a thing of the past. In order to recover, you will go through these stages of change at your own pace. If you have reached a plateau and don't seem to moving toward the next stage, the next assignment is for you. Answering the questions will help you with evaluating your current situation as well as providing new and valuable insights, both of which can help you find some motivation to continue. If you continue to be stuck, it might be time to seek a different level of help, such as seeing a therapist or finding a new one, joining a group, seeing a dietitian, or considering a treatment program. Assignment. My current stage of change. Choose the stage of change that best fits where you think you are right now. For each stage, we list where you might get stuck and the questions to answer. If you're confused about which stage you're in, or you think you are between two stages, answer the questions for both. You might find it useful to answer the questions in every section. If you find yourself repeating things you have already written about in an earlier assignment, don't worry. Repetition helps solidify information. You might also come up with new thoughts that arise as we ask similar questions in different ways. Okay. Look at all these things. Gonna take a picture.